I'm Managing Director of Creature. We are a creative solutions and cause-based marketing agency. We're expertise in children and families, and we create content and visual media and help brands with campaigns. And we work with people like Nat Geo, Unilever, Lego, Nestle, Kew Gardens, and Clarks, to name a few. And the reason our focus is on children and families is that alongside being an agency, we're also publishers of National Geographic Kids magazines and websites. We are brand custodians for that from National Geographic, and we do that in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and Ireland. And we speak to about 10 million children annually and parents within our media. So our responsibility as a business and our passion is to educate children and families around the natural world, and we really want them to be the next kind of planet custodians to kind of take our messaging forward and care about the environment. And what we've seen is actually our audience grow up. As we've been publishing for over 12 years, they've grown up from kind of inquisitive 7-year-olds to young adults who are now clambering for change and ultimately kind of disheartened about the world that they're about to go into. And let's face it, we can all kind of sympathise with that, because ultimately the topics around climate change are often negative and very scary. And you know, if I was then to say to you now that I'm actually quite happy, elated, and actually quite excited, you'd probably think that I'm slightly delusional from my bike accident. But the reason for that, and I'm going to try and explain that a little bit as I go on, but I think there's a lot of hope out there that we can kind of all help benefit. So we all do what we do at Creature because we are passionate about the planet and we care about conservation. Within the last 12 years or decade that we've been doing this, we've been kind of communicating these campaigns around climate change and the environment. But it's only really in the last couple of years that we've seen such a dramatic increase in conversation around this topic. And the really exciting thing for us, and what makes us very happy, is that a lot of that change is being led by children. And children are pushing their parents to get involved in these kind of campaigns. And families are part of leading that charge. The groundswell movement that we're seeing at the moment is solely, consumer focused. It's not governments, it's not necessarily business who are leading that conversation. And whether it's banning plastic straws or plastic bags, we're seeing, campaigns really stick for the first time. But for every campaign that does, we're seeing a lot that really are kind of falling by the wayside. And unfortunately, what we're finding is that consumers are generally getting very frustrated that things aren't moving quick enough. And what we're noticing is especially from recent trust surveys from Edelman, we're seeing that people are just losing faith in governments. They're seeing them as parochial and partisan, and unfortunately, they are not solving the issues that people want solving. And at the same time, because of fake news and political bias, people are moving away and trusting media less. And we're seeing the same thing with charities, where we've had quite a few, like Kids Company scandal and Oxfam scandal. People are losing a little bit of trust in charities too. So really, people are looking to brands to make that change and to get themselves involved in those societal issues that we all are kind of facing. And the great thing about that is that people are doing that with their wallets first and foremost. So we are seeing actual change because people are changing their consumer habits. More people than ever are buying on the basis of what brands stand for. And as you move down the age bracket, that increases dramatically. And between the ages of 18 to 24, 70% of people are now buying on belief over product. And if you've ever purchased a product or a service and felt good about it because it has a sustainability message, you've been likely a consumer of a cause-based marketing campaign. And we've totally changed the way we live our commercial lives. Right now we're buying more and caring more about our mind, and we're looking for things that make us feel good and make us feel that we have a place, you know, and a purpose in life. And never in our history have brands had such an opportunity to do the right thing, but also to generate profit and sell products. You know, cause-based marketing has never been this way around before. We're seeing, you know, consumers have rarely demanded brands take a stand on societal issues, but at the same time, brands have. You know, Persil's Dirt for Good campaign has been going for 15 years and it's reached millions of children and it's generated huge amounts of revenue for them. However, you know, they decided to do that as a brand. You know, that was never a push from consumers. But what we're finding now is that consumers are the ones doing the pushing. They want people and brands to make a difference. Excuse me. And that power dynamic has completely changed. With this in mind, companies who are putting cause-based marketing first are the ones that are winning. But the questions are, how do brands optimize their purpose-driven marketing investments? And can being socially responsible be used as a messaging strategy in brand marketing campaigns to help increase revenue? We think the answer is yes, and we think that Creature Media can help do that. And I suppose the reason why is that through our unique experience promoting causes to young children, we've taken a different approach about how we talk about these campaigns. We use a lot of positivity, and positivity can really inspire action in people. And when we try and create this content that doesn't have any element of fear in it, you know, that really, really helps. And actually, that's no different when it comes to general consumers. Everyone is time poor, so everything that we create, especially kids, you know, is short, sharp, and to the point and engaging. And the reason why consumers often don't engage with these topics is because they're very difficult and challenging to explain. But we feel that we have got a way of being able to do that. But we do feel that fear is our biggest cause for inactivity, and right now we're facing a threat to all of this positive change. Social media has helped to drive a lot of the changes that we're seeing, but as consumers start to engage in that and like and get involved with many more campaigns, they come to their social feeds and it's just full with negative imaging and messaging. And the problem with that is that often just engaging with a campaign does not necessarily mean that people will take action about it. And I do the same. You know, I go home and I'll look at Facebook, and I've signed up to loads of campaigns that I'm passionate about, but after a hard day's work, if I look at all of that and I kind of involve myself in those, you know, conversations, it's very negative and I feel like I want to drink a lot. So, you know, I think often, you know, that's not the right approach. And unfortunately, there's some terrifying stats out there about how children and also adults are very worried about how climate will affect their futures. And unfortunately, that despair can lead to denial and inaction. One study in Australia found that 27% of children believe that the world will end in their lifetime because of climate change. Another study in Sweden found that 4 out of 5 10 to 12-year-olds feel strongly fear, sadness and anger towards environmental problems. And another study found that 2/3 of people believe that climate change threatens their existence. And I'm afraid, you know, it goes on and on. The stats are there, there's hundreds of them. And fear also plays a huge part in inactivity for brands too. Getting this wrong can be disastrous. And brands often, you know, don't take that risk, and marketers feel that that risk is way too great. But this inactivity can go back to haunt them. And I think, you know, we are a prime example of that. You know, we as an organisation have moved our magazines from plastic bags to paper bags, and we were pushed by our consumers to do that. And we did that too late, and we were honest about that. And actually, when we moved to a more sustainable product, people rewarded us for it, and it felt great. And we now sell more magazines because of it. So, you know, as those young adults grow up and become the next customers, we, you know, marketers have to kind of take that leap and move more into consumer-led campaigns. But to help soften that risk, we offer insight from National Geographic Children and Families. We can speak to them every month and we can get over 3,000 responses. We can speak to families individually, or we can speak to them in groups, and we can provide insight from an audience that are already engaging in these societal issues and making, already kind of aware of these problems. And we truly believe that fear is fundamentally the biggest risk facing our future and our existence. And if we want to engage people and drive change, we have to do it in a positive way, providing people on a local level with the tools and ideas that create change. And by providing solutions, we empower people. We can replace fear with hope and positivity, and that, more than anything, will drive people to action. We hope that through the solutions Creature can provide, we can help companies devise and create amazing campaigns, and for us to continue to do that. We hope that we can change the world. So thank you very much. I'll be here afterwards if anyone wants to have a chat with me. But yeah, thanks.